Welcome. Today we're taking a look at a book that, and I'm not kidding, is professionally banned in US federal prisons. Banned not intentionally, but rather, by some stretch of the imagination. We find it like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Will Smith all recognized and considered holy grail. Yes, we're battling the very essence of psychopathy. Robert Greene's *48 Laws of Power*. It's the most polarizing book ever written. I mean, trust me, whoever asks, is this man's secret to success, or a guide on how to be a terrible human being? You have to admit, reading it is like reading instructions for using a weapon. Look, this very funny kid got into this book with such enthusiasm if he wrote, motto, cheat codes for life. Greene portrays the book as a guide to the real world. You know, to the shark pool, preparing to win. And that's the pottery, because when you actually start reading the copies, it's not just about winning, it's about dominating and manipulating. Things get crazy in the future. Let's start with the first law. Never grow more brilliant than your master. This law puts different kids together, and tells us to work hard, show our skills, and prove our worth. And Greene simply says, no, never do that, because it's not about your talent, it's about their name. And you've shown too brightly, responding not to your boss, but to intimidate him, to provoke him into everything he asks for and exploit his weaknesses. So the smart thing to do is to do yourself, sort of, to dim your own light just enough so that your bosses feel like geniuses among themselves. This is pure office psychological warfare, but if the first law is about playing defense, the 15th law is where it turns into manufactured rubber badge mode. Oh yes, the 15th law, crush your union enemy. This is the law that really scares people. He doesn't just say beware of them, he says that if even one ember is smoldering, it will eventually reignite. You must dismantle their union power for some reason beyond revenge. It's brutal. I mean, it makes sense. He's taken inspiration from Machiavelli's The Prince*, but Machiavelli was a writer for real 16th century rulers trying to avoid having their heads chopped off. Exactly. Greene contains that life or death stuff and simply puts it in the form of a military bureaucrat. He tells you to share your rival's patriotic work with your colleague, and he goes on to it. Rule 14. Pretend to be a friend, act as a spy. Oh, that rule is pure nightmare fuel. It essentially proves every trust issue you've ever had. You use those chats, games, and meetings after work to gather intelligence on people's weaknesses and fears. It's weaponizing intimacy. The whole idea is that people volunteer to defend them, and then they take their names. So you smile, nod, and gather to use the data against them later. Everyone who's mutually exclusive will get a deal. That's pretty dark. I have to say, Law 10 kinda blew my mind. And it's contagion. Avoid the contagions and the unlucky. Oh yeah, the Brazilian contagion. It jumps to the conclusion that some people drown cosmetics because of their destructive habits, and if you come to try and shrink them, you might drown too. They don't rise up, they drag you down to the bottom. It's pretty ruthless, and everyone seems to know that person who says yeah, your mess is definitely contagious. So, we have spying on friends, crushing a myth, and the grieving. It sounds strong to everyone, but Greene is actually defending all of this, isn't he? Yeah, he says it's just realism. Right. He claims he wrote this after watching Hollywood executives use all these dirty tricks against him. He's not inventing the game, he's just giving instructions so you don't get manipulated. It's a don't blame history, blame the game defense. The idea is to read books, not as a slave to principles, but to discover one. It starts with discerning when someone uses Law 3. Conceal your intentions against you. I mean, that's the simplistic interpretation, but let's be real. For every person who uses this as a shield, there's someone else who uses it as a sword. It gives people permission to act like psychopaths and say, hey, I'm not a bad person, I'm just efficient. That's a fair point. You're at war, and all that. Interestingly though, Greene later became one. His book, Mastery, is entirely run according to basic programming instructions, which suggests, in a way, that these power games might just be a survival phase, and the ultimate goal is already achieved. Friday, which means, before we wrap up, we shouldn't forget the final law, Law 48. Accept formless mode. The concept of be like water, it's a powerful idea, and you don't have a rigid plan, or a very clear profile, a simple goal guide. The ultimate strength is adaptability, being able to fit into circumstances that no one can confine you to. But this leaves us with the question, is this genuine adaptability, or just an unassailable excuse behind which nothing can be discredited? If you are unshaped, who are you? And this may be the price you pay. So, as you go about your week, we'll leave you with this question. Are you history, or are you being manipulated? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.